Hello, welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Good to have you with us. Coming up, South Africa takes a fine-tooth comb to a corruption scandal that led to former leader Jacob Zuma's downfall. A public inquiry beginning its investigation into widespread graft allegations that rocked the country. I'll have more details with our correspondent in just a few moments. Bloodshed in Nigeria's northeastern Borno State. 2 villages rocked by deadly attacks carried out by militants from Boko Haram. And which West African country can lay claim to the best Jollof rice? It's a fierce debate that Nigeria aims to settle once and for all, with Lagos hosting a Jollof rice festival. Thanks for joining us. First up, Jacob Zuma corruption allegations under the magnifying glass. A public inquiry has opened in Johannesburg over a graft scandal that's embroiled the former South African president. The commission will investigate whether Zuma conspired with a wealthy business family, the Guptas, to influence government appointments, contracts and state-owned businesses. Accusations that led to Zuma's downfall. The embattled leader was forced out of office in February. Well, for more on this story, let's bring in our South Africa correspondent, Aisha Ismail. Aisha, the hearings are expected to take up to 2 years, and while the panel doesn't have the power to prosecute, the evidence collected can be used in any further prosecution. What more can you tell us about this probe?
Well, this commission of inquiry will dig into former President Jacob Zuma's relationship with this immigrant Indian family, the Guptas, and they will look at how this family benefited from the relationship with Jacob Zuma, but also look at how he benefited. But they will also look at the enablers across government departments. For instance, how the Guptas were able to get South African citizenship in a very short space of time, how they were able to get multiple lucrative government tenders, and also look at allegations that they had the power to influence the hiring and the firing of cabinet ministers. But this inquiry is also about upholding South Africa's constitution, and it's also about holding those in power accountable.
Well, the judge leading the inquiry has called for more witnesses to come forward and said the public response so far has been disappointing.
Well, a lot is already in the public domain, and what the whistleblowers and what members of civil society are saying, that there is enough information, enough evidence, and enough facts for the Guptas and President Jacob Zuma to be prosecuted. What they're saying is that this case is ripe for the courts and that it should already be before the courts. And that's what they want to see. They want to see a criminal prosecution.
OK, Aisha, thanks very much for updating us on that story. Aisha Ismail reporting from Cape Town for us. To other news now, the jihadist group Boko Haram is stepping up its attacks in Nigeria's northeastern Borno State. The militants struck twice last weekend. 4 farmers were killed near Maiduguri, and at least 6 people were killed in the village of Mailari. Nicolas Germain reports.
Witnesses said the Boko Haram jihadists came on motorcycles and slit the throat of 4 farmers outside Maiduguri. The group has been targeting farmers. It accuses them of passing information to the military and the local militia that fight them. There was another deadly attack on Sunday in Mailari. Residents of Borno State said they need more help from the authorities.
I'm appealing to them in order to bring more security personnel to our area, to the community, Kaleri community, in order to give full support to the civilian JTF to tackle their jobs. And may God Almighty help everybody around the community in order to tackle the problem.
One of our relatives was killed and we reported it to the authorities, but they refused to come. So during the night we had to pick up the body and bury it in the morning.
The number of Boko Haram attacks has surged recently, 6 months before the presidential election. Experts said Nigeria hasn't faced such a serious threat from the group since the peak of the insurgency between 2013 and 2015. It's put pressure on President Muhammadu Buhari, who is seeking a second term in office. He stresses the country is in a post-conflict stabilization phase, but his campaign will be extremely difficult. His failure to quash Boko Haram has led to a series of high-profile defections from his APC party.
Deception and lies. Zimbabwe's opposition leader Nelson Chamisa has lashed out 2 days before the Constitutional Court hearing on his party's legal challenge to the election win of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. The main opposition Movement for Democratic Change is appealing the results of last month's vote amid accusations of electoral fraud. Judges can either confirm or invalidate the results or declare another candidate as the winner. Let's hear from Mr. Chamisa.
I would like to guarantee you that we have a very strong case and we are going to overturn this electoral fraud. Consistent with what we promised you, we are going to defend your vote, our vote, the people's vote, the Zimbabwean vote.
Recent elections in Mali were also disputed, but the Constitutional Court there has confirmed the re-election victory of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, rejecting opposition allegations of vote rigging due to lack of evidence. According to official results, the incumbent leader won the second-round runoff with over 67% of the ballots. His rival Soumaïla Cissé got nearly 33% of the vote, and as recently as Saturday hit the streets of Bamako with hundreds of supporters to protest the results. To Mozambique now, where pregnancy in underage girls is a massive problem. The population is rapidly growing in a country that struggles to provide sufficient sex education. While the UN has stepped in and is now funding a program to try and educate young people about family planning.
Emma is just 13. Like many very young girls in Mozambique, Emma became pregnant while still a child herself. She now lives with her grandmother, also called Emma.
I saw that she wasn't looking well, so I asked her, is it school? Please let me know.
Her granddaughter was actually raped, becoming pregnant by her attacker.
I told my grandma I hadn't bled for 4 months. She told me I was pregnant and I had no idea what was going to happen.
Mozambique struggles to provide sufficient sex education, a country where over 65% of the population's under 25. The UN are trying to make an impact. In this school in the north of the country, young girls come to talk about family planning. MARIAMO's here because she's seen too many friends forced to stop school after becoming pregnant.
I don't want to have children early. I want to finish school first, and then I'll be able to have sex with my husband.
While the education of young women is crucial, men obviously have a role to play too. For this campaigner, they are at the heart of the problem, notably because, according to tradition, fertility is seen as a sign of virility.
If a man has just 1 or 2 children, in the eyes of other men or society, it might seem as if he's really weak.
To fight against early pregnancies is also to fight against early marriages. The law allows marriages at 18 or at 16 with parental consent. But exceptions are still commonplace. This young woman's just given birth. She married at the age of 15, before the legal age, like almost 1 girl in 6 in Mozambique.
Now, Nigerian football fans are breathing a sigh of relief after FIFA lifted a threat to suspend the country from international football. On Monday, Nigeria acknowledged a FIFA-approved appointee as the sole head of its national football federation. The governing body was set to ban the country from international matches over alleged political interference in filling the job. Well, FIFA's move means the Nigerian team can continue with its qualification bid for next year's Africa Cup of Nations. And finally, which African country makes the best jollof rice? It's one of the most heated food debates raging in West African countries. From Senegal and Ghana to Cameroon, the humble yet flavour-packed one-pot rice dish is a staple of local gastronomy. And on Sunday, Nigeria tried to end the debate once and for all, hosting the Jollof and Other Things Festival in Lagos, where more than 4,000 people came with empty stomachs to sample some of the country's finest jollof recipes.
We already know who the winner is. Nigerian jollof is a winner any day, anytime, and it's just, maybe they are just trying to believe what they want to believe. other countries. I don't know about other countries. I'm not even interested in tasting their jollof because I have everything I need in Nigerian jollof.
Jollof rice is originally from Senegal. It's not indigenous to Nigeria, but Nigerians do it really, really well. And Nigerians have found a way to bring jollof rice into practically everything they do.
Well, Nigerians perhaps adding fuel to the fire with some of those comments. Stay with us here on France 24. Lots more news coming up.
Revisited, presented by Stuart Norval.
30 years ago, Californians really thought the time had come. Now it's just a matter of years before the biggest earthquake in American history devastates the state.
The probability of having a large earthquake in the Bay Area in the next 30 years is over 90%. It's going to happen and it will happen.
In anticipation of the big one, how is the region that includes Hollywood and Silicon Valley preparing? Have Californians learned the lessons of the 1989 earthquake?
Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.